Hey everyone, my name is Chris Lambert, co-host of Watching the Throne, a lyrical analysis of Kanye West, and this is the Kanye West news rundown for Wednesday, June 27th, 2018. Just want to give a shout out real fast to my dad. This is the 11-year anniversary of his passing, so June 27th is always a strange day, but I don't know. Nice to give him a shout out. So we're going to run through the Kanye West news that's appearing today, and it's a weirdly busy day for a Wednesday. First up, our podcast episode on All Mine is out, a narrative and thematic deconstruction, though much like this portion of the Ye album is Kanye's descent into the manic and ego-driven portion of his mental scape. This is more of a dive into the bizarre and goofy part of our show rather than the academic side of the show. So this episode gets a little weird, but still valuable in ways of understanding the track. So I hope you give it a listen. We had reported yesterday that Kanye had put out a Spaghetti Boys documentary of the Ye listening party, and here we have a Spaghetti Boys documentary of the Kids See Ghosts listening party. So if you want to give that a look, just go to wegotlove.com and click, and you can watch it all unfold. Hunter Kelly, who I need to follow, there we go, brought up an interesting point. Beat at the end of Infrared, same as Fourth Dimension beat. Can you confirm Team Kanye Daily? And somebody said it's not, but Team Kanye Daily said there's an element that's the same, and we have a source that was on the audio engineering team, and he seemed to confirm that this was the case. If you listen to the end of Infrared, really the drums are very similar to the end of Fourth Dimension. And the question this brings up is whether or not this was Kanye just being lazy and recycling a drum element because he was on a short period of time to get these albums done, or is Kanye a narrative artist that views continuity between one album and the other and is using this repetitious drum beat as a way of signifying a connection between Infrared and Fourth Dimension. I mean, I feel like you can make arguments for both sides. It just depends, I think, on what you expect from Kanye, what you want from Kanye, what you want from music. Maybe one day we'll get to ask Kanye for clarification. I definitely think there's a strong argument to be made that thematically and even a little bit narratively, there's a development between Daytona, Ye, and Kids See Ghost, especially with the idea of beef between artists, the kind of intense relationship you have with the world at large and the beef that you can have with the world. We see Daytona build up to Infrared, and even Ye starts in a place of aggression before coming down away from that. And Kids See Ghost also starts in a place of aggression, especially with Feel the Love and Push's verse at the beginning of Feel the Love, before reaching a point, much like Ye, of understanding and moving away from beef and violence and that kind of crashing of wills, which you see that happen on Cuddy Montage, where Kanye details that nobody wins when you have those kinds of fights or arguments. So there definitely seems to be, at least thematically or conceptually, a conversation that's taking place over those albums. Does that mean that the drums are a purposeful callback? Does it mean that they're not? We'll see. We'll see. Here's a interesting. Kanye West reportedly considering the idea of making 52 records in 52 weeks. And this is another byproduct of Jon Caramanica's interview with Kanye in the New York Times, which we talked about yesterday or 2 days ago, sometime. And this is from Popcast, the New York Times whatchamacallit, podcast, where Jon goes on and speaks. He essentially did a Q&A. People had a lot of questions about the interview with Kanye. So it's an hour and 23 minutes of him answering questions about Kanye. I haven't gotten to listen to the full thing yet, but this was a moment that came out of that. 52 records in 52 weeks, probably too much, but 2016, he said he wanted to give us 3 albums a year, and we got 5 this year with more on the way. If he's doing this 7-track thing and really has time to just focus on beats and do that as his one goal, possible. Likely? Yee. I don't think likely, but possible. But if you want to listen to this, there's going to be a link down below. You can just also find it on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, any of those places to listen to the full thing. Here's one of my favorite articles from today and over the course of June, talking about the album releases. This is Kanye West's Summer of Samples, How 2 Reissue Labels Helped Make Wyoming Funky. This is from Christopher Weingarten, and it essentially interviews 2 of the reissue labels that Kanye drew heavily from in his 2018 production, and talks with them about the process of working with Kanye, their views on his use of samples, and the business aspects of it and the artistic aspects of it. It's a very objective article and a very informative article and a very long article, but well worth the read if this is something that you're curious about or want to know more about. Highly, highly recommended. If I could give like a narrator's choice or something, this would be the narrator's choice. This didn't load for me, maybe because of the good old ad blocker, but if you want to see 17 pictures of Kim and Kanye's Bel Air home that we saw a few photos of yesterday, but if you want to see some more, click on this link and you can see more. I'm sorry I don't get to show you here. Maybe I could have disabled my ad blocker, but hey, Felix, fuck people. So TMZ, Kanye, more real estate news. Kanye dumps Soho apartment for $3 million, neighbor scores. So it turns out that he had bought these in 2004 and 2006 for $3.14 million and recently sold it for just $3 million. So it took a little bit of a loss, but these are actually near where my uncle lives. And it's kind of crazy because my uncle, who's really old, I think he's in his late 70s, has had the same apartment since like 1982, and he's just like a little old Jewish man that started renting this place when it was really cheap and like the area was kind of shitty, and it's been rent controlled this entire time. So he still lives in this like shitty apartment that hasn't been updated, but is in like the West Village and is in this prime location that everything else around him is so expensive. It's really funny, but I don't know, little random aside about my family. But that was it. He was telling me about how he knows that Kanye lives nearby and how frustrating it is whenever Kanye was staying at that apartment, because it'd always be hordes of people on the street, and my uncle would just be trying to like walk somewhere for a sandwich and just have to deal with the paparazzi or the people hanging out outside of Kanye's place. For the fashion people, the shoe people, Kanye West's next Adidas Yeezy 500 has a release date. It's the Utility Black, goes on sale July 7th. So best of luck. And remember, this Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, the Butters release, so go ahead and try and get that. So Rebecca Carroll for Gothamist has an article, Kanye West has a responsibility problem, and this is what I'm going to do a breakout episode on. I have a few thoughts on this article and the perspective it takes and the conversation it raises. So once this is done, I'm going to record a video specifically on this article. Same with the next one. High Snobiety has an op-ed. I always blank on how to say that. 070070. Shake and the double-edged sword of being a Kanye protege. And this article is one I also want to do a breakout on and have more of a conversation, because I feel like the perspective on it is a bit skewed. But I'm still going to link to both of these down below. But if you want to find out my deeper thoughts on them, please join me in the breakout episodes. This one's pretty cool. Capital Extra has the history of Drake and Kanye's complex relationship, what went wrong. And it's just kind of an overview of their relationship and does a pretty good deep dive through it. So give that a look. Lakeith Stanfield, actor who's in an upcoming movie, which I forget the name of, Sorry to Bother You, which I heard good things. It was at South by Southwest when we were at South by Southwest, and people were saying it was weird, like very, very weird, but fascinating. He talks a little bit about Kanye, just saying that he finds Kanye West really interesting. He agrees with some things, disagrees with the others, but he thinks that Kanye is an artist and brings up a lot of concepts that are cool in the internet time frame. I think it's an interesting time to be Kanye, or to be a person like Kanye, and to exist in a space like the internet, which has a place of zero context, where it's like something can happen and automatically there's an influx of ideas about it and perceptions that run like wildfire. So yeah, which is exactly what has been happening with Kanye. And we know that Kanye loves that shit. So I think Lakeith has a pretty good understanding of it. And then lastly, Chance the Rapper to discuss 7-track Kanye album, Childish Gambino project, and more on Open Late. So Chance had an interview with Peter Rosenberg, and he said that he has got some things in store for the fans, which includes a 7-song album with Kanye. That'd be pretty great. Just imagine a full album of Ultralight Beams. A full album of Ultralight Beams. Felix, would you like a full album of Ultralight Beams? Is that something you would like? I think it's something he would like. If you want to support us and sport your Kanye fandom, we have a few shirts available. The explicit and clean version of our Runaway 1, and a not explicit version of the Hold My Liquor #1. You can get those on watchingthethrone.com. What's he doing? Yeah, and that's that. That does it for this episode. Join us for the breakout sessions, and I'm going to be doing another album review after this. So if you enjoyed the album review of Saturation 2, please join me for the next one. I hope you like that as well. And yeah, I'm doing this tomorrow. So I'll be back with an episode tomorrow. See ya.